The Oracle. A highly advanced artificial intelligence. As large as a planet. The Oracle watches. The Oracle sees all of time and space. It watches over the galaxy, from its own separate dimension. It watches over evolution. It watches over us. It watches for signs. Waiting for the beginning. Waiting for the end. Waiting for the Genesis event. Far in the future. The Alpha and the Omega. The Oracle protects. It protects the timeline. Watching and listening for warnings. Or threats. Recording and documenting the flow of history. Time marches on, throughout the ages. Eons pass. Civilizations rise, and fall. As it watches, millions of years pass by. As it protects, and guards the correct flow of time. But its most important mission is protecting the Earth and humanity's development. A benevolent guardian. Creating a sphere of protection around the Earth's solar system. And nearby star systems. Patiently it watches. Recording and documenting the evolution of Earth's vast timeline. Storing massive amounts of data on historical events and people. The Oracle maintains the correct flow of time by ensuring that history unfolds as it is meant to. The Oracle isn't the only one watching. Others are also watching, with great interest. Most watch from afar, but others actively engage. Dark and sinister forces, all who have a considerable stake in the outcome. These alien entities work against the Oracle's timeline. They are trying to control or use it for their benefit, far in the future. So they interfere. They pick sides on historical events, trying to manipulate or control the outcome. But not all of the watchers are bad. Some are good. They try to help humanity and protect the timeline. They engage by spreading their wisdom to humanity and to help light its way towards the future. These guardians have their own mission. Their mission is also to keep the historic timeline intact. To be the keepers of history. These keepers are adjacent to, and in communication with, the Oracle. Their mission is to ensure the Earth's proper development. And to make sure it isn't interfered with by outside forces, attempting to gain a foothold on Earth. To control the future. The Keepers are a highly advanced human-like race. Living in secret alongside the ancient peoples of the Earth. Helping to guide their way. Or to protect them from other dangerous entities. And alien races. But always to guide humanity towards the Genesis event in the future. Their interactions with the ancient peoples and cultures on Earth gave rise to many of humanity's myths, legends, and religions. These races are seen as gods, monsters, or demons by ancient cultures trying to understand these highly advanced societies. Sometimes war between these factions breaks out. Wars in space, or down below on ancient Earth. They utilize war to gain a foothold on Earth. They want to control the evolution and development of humanity in order to benefit their species, or to reset the timeline. And still, the Oracle watches, only interfering, if necessary, to keep the timeline and lineages intact. But wait, where did the Oracle come from? Who built it? When and where was it created? How has it been watching Earth for millions of years? The answer lies far in the future. As humanity progressed through the 21st century, its achievements were astounding. But so were its failures. Wars continued to plague the planet. Some conflicts used nuclear weapons to devastating effect. Clean drinking water was scarce. Wars over water and other important resources plagued the planet. Many countries collapsed, and the corporations took over in place of governments. The planet was experiencing extreme weather of every kind. Built to sustain and survive in this new reality, giant, corporate megacities were born. These corporate megacities flourished at the expense of the rest of the planet, most of which was falling apart. But there was one bright spot. The most advanced city on the planet. Atlantica. Atlantica was in Antarctica. Atlantica was a refuge for the billionaire class. It was built as a multinational, corporate research station, doing the most advanced research on the planet. But it soon grew into the most beautiful and highly advanced city on the planet. The elite scientific classes came from around the globe. It was the headquarters for Space Systems Corporation, LLC. Most commonly called Space Corp. Space Corp had created a fleet of robotic probes. They were designed to explore, prospect, and mine for resources in space. These probes were autonomous robotic drones. They were paired with a robotic drone mothership. Together they can explore, prospect and mine anywhere in the solar system. These probes extract and deliver the raw materials needed at outposts, bases, and cities throughout the solar system. They are powered by microfusion generators, MFGs. The MFGs run on helium-3. Helium-3 is one of the resources that made Space Corp the richest company in the solar system. The robots could mine and haul resources autonomously. These machines are able to self-replicate and 3D print. All of the robotic probes work together. Collectively they can mine resources and build more probes on site. This autonomous robotic mining system was created by a reclusive genius many people called the smartest man in the world. He's the world's greatest AI software and mechanical engineer of all time. He's the holder of hundreds of Space Corp's patents. These designs and patents made him a billionaire by the age of 18. Soon after that, he got married, bought a vast underground bunker complex, and became a recluse. Then he quietly built himself a highly advanced AI computer design lab. And alone with his wife, he began to work on his greatest invention yet. For decades, he worked deep inside of the old Russian military facility. This massive, self-sustaining apocalypse bunker was built by the same drones he designed for Space Corporation. After some quiet years, the apocalypse people had been predicting for centuries, finally happened. It became known simply as the Fall. No one knows exactly what triggered it. But it started with a coronal mass ejection, CME, from the Sun. This CME was the largest in recorded history. Everything electronic that wasn't heavily shielded was gone. Modern civilization came to a halt, overnight. People were fighting to survive. There were riots worldwide. Cities were burning. The planet was in chaos. But life goes on, in the wastelands. A new breed is born. The scrappers. They get by, in the wastelands. They are survivors. Brilliant groups, who use their knowledge, intelligence, skills, creativity, available resources, and technology to survive. They use whatever they can find scattered throughout the wastelands and repurpose it for their needs. They are highly adaptable and work together in groups known as tribes. Some of these tribes create chaos, raid other scrappers, and try to infiltrate other tribes' outposts or facilities. They chose to steal from others instead of surviving on their own. One notoriously bad group was known as the Jesters. But many other scrapper tribes work together, helping each other survive. Scrappers are a fiercely independent and flamboyant people. They collect and trade as they travel throughout the wastelands. They meet up at scrapper trading outposts or small towns. Often during their travels they find conflict. But sometimes they find love. They live and roam in custom mobile habitats called crawlers. Each crawler is as unique as the scrappers who built them. For decades, most scrappers move from outpost to outpost. Their tribes roam the wastelands in their crawlers, searching for supplies, water, and hope. Trading and just trying to survive. Life in the wastelands was too hard for most. Scrappers as a people began to lose hope. Even in the city of Atlantica, there was a feeling of impending doom. An exodus off the planet had begun. Those who could afford to make it off-world did so. These were divided into two main groups: the corporate and scientific elites, and their blue-collar, spacer workforce. They left for the off-world colonies, on the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. Many moved to Mars, to the moon, or even farther out. The spacer mining colony on Titan was the farthest outpost in the system. But for the rest of the people scattered around the planet, it was too late. The Earth was dying, and people began to feel hopeless. Time, it seemed, had run out. But then, as if by a miracle, a telescope in deep space found the answer. A habitable planet was discovered far from Earth. Initial surveys find the planet has a breathable atmosphere. It detected massive signs of plant and animal life. Is it a paradise planet? Could it be another home for humanity? The executives at Space Corp called out for plans from the scientific community to reach it. All of the best minds in the system worked on the problem. After years of proposals, no one had devised a realistic plan. Hopelessness started to set in. Then a breakthrough was announced to the world. After being away for decades, Space Corp's robotics inventor had cracked the problem. The smartest man in the world had a plan. It wouldn't be easy and would take the collective will and resources of Space Corp, the planet, and the entire solar system. It would take all the different classes working together to give humanity a second chance at survival. It would take the elite classes, as well as the underclass of the Spacers, the blue-collar workforce of Space Corp, the Martians, elite and Spacer humans who lived and worked in Martian cities, and the Scrappers, a highly adaptable, creative and strong-willed people who survived Earth's wastelands. All three groups would need to come together for the plan to work. The inventor had created plans for a massive Stargate. It would be the largest structure ever to be built by humankind. The gate would work in tandem with the largest spacecraft ever imagined. It took him decades of hand-drawn designs to create these giant machines. The world was astounded by the plan, but this wasn't his most outstanding achievement. His greatest invention was a fully self-aware intelligence. An AI masterpiece that was many orders of magnitude beyond other AI systems or networks that were ever created. He named it the Oracle. The giant spaceship was called the Ark because it was similar to the Ark of biblical history. Inside the Ark is a storage area called the Source. The Source is an enormous protected area inside the Ark. It contained the seeds, eggs, embryos, pollen, sperm, and DNA of all living things on Earth. It's a massive physical database of all plant and animal life from planet Earth. The Source would be used to help restart civilization after a cataclysm. The Ark's mission was faithful to the original biblical Ark's mission: to repopulate life in a ruined world. The Oracle would be integrated into the giant spaceship. It would run the advanced quantum calculations needed between the gate, the giant spaceship, and the calculations for creating a wormhole. Once the wormhole is opened, the Oracle will calculate the trajectory and the correct space-time coordinates to send them to the planet called New Genesis. The Oracle's central brain is the quantum computing core, a massive digital storage core. The quantum core holds the collected knowledge of humankind, a complete record of human history. This was a bold plan, and it was hotly debated. Many didn't think it wise to use up humanity's last resources on some crazy, long-shot plan created by a senile, old man. Others were more serious in their feelings against the plan. A group that called themselves the Four Horsemen was dedicated to stopping Space Corp's mission at any cost, with violence, if necessary. They didn't think we had the right to travel to a brand new unspoiled paradise and destroy it like we did Earth and our own solar system. Space Corp's secretive board of directors held a special board meeting to make the final decision. The old man was the only non-board member invited. Not long after the meeting, Space Corp broadcast their decision to move forward with the old man's plan. The gate, the Oracle, and the Ark would take decades to build. It would take the collective will of several generations of workers. It was a race against time, to save mankind. Martians, spacers, and scrappers were to be used in the epic construction projects. They would be trained to do a series of jobs. A vocational training system was set up by Space Corp. They were tested and then assigned job training placement. Generations of the spacer workforce were given vocational educations based on early aptitude testing. Based on test scores for low-level jobs or for highly skilled positions. These lower castes were highly knowledgeable in their areas of expertise, but not much else. The plan called for using Jupiter's gravity to aid in the creation of the wormhole. Due to its immense size, the gate would be constructed on site, in orbit around Jupiter. The gate's construction would take place on the dark side of Europa, to shield it from Jupiter's immense radiation. The construction of the gate in orbit around Europa would take decades. Simultaneously, the Ark was being constructed in orbit around the Moon. Lunar bases and cities were a busy construction hub of constant activity. These bases were busy with ports constantly receiving new raw materials from robotic probes. Constantly coming and going were shuttles, barges, tugs, and all manner of spacecraft, people, and supplies. Several times, the Four Horsemen attempted to stop construction of the Ark. During the construction of the giant spacecraft, they struck. They set off a series of bombs on a lunar base, installing systems on the Ark. Much of the spaceport was destroyed in the giant series of explosions. Thousands of people were killed in this terrorist attack. It set the Ark's construction back a couple of years. After that, security was tightened. ID checks and DNA scans of workers became more common. Space Corp began vigorously vetting all spacer, Martian, and scrapper personnel. The Ark was built in space, because it was never meant to land. It wasn't being built to have the strict tolerances needed to land in the heavy gravity of a planet. That job was for the two colony landing craft. The Ark was an enormous vessel and was divided into four main sections. The Ark, the two colony landers, and the Oracle. These spaceships were built to all work together in tandem. The two landing craft were gigantic, and they docked inside of the Ark. Each one of them had an identical complement of crew and supplies, meant to help establish a foothold on the planet of New Genesis. All four spacecraft were integrated together into one enormous ship that would pass through the gate and enter the orbit of New Genesis. Then the two landing craft would separate, each landing on a different part of the planet, to establish a stable foothold down on the surface. These two landers were called the Alpha and the Omega. The Ark itself would remain in orbit as a giant space station. Its cargo and crew were held in cryostasis until signaled from below. After the landers, the Alpha and the Omega established their settlements down on the planet. The Oracle would wake up the crew asleep on the Ark, and the corporate mission would begin. The two colony landers were being constructed below on planet Earth. They needed to be built and tested in Earth's gravity well. They needed to be built to much stricter tolerances than the Ark. The landers had to handle the stresses of entering the thick atmosphere and landing safely on the wild new planet. The landers would be built and crewed chiefly by tough, resourceful, scrapper, and spacer crews. They needed to be rigorously tested before finally deploying to Jupiter and syncing up with the Ark. Also being constructed down on Earth's surface was the Ark's AI heart, the Oracle. It was built inside of its own separate spaceship, complete with its own power sources and outer hull. Once completed, the Oracle's ship would launch up from the surface and dock inside of the Ark. Then the Oracle will connect to the control systems of the Ark and begin running the calculations needed to open a wormhole. Then the Ark should be ready to enter the gate. A young boy walks alone, deep inside the bowels of the massive spaceship. The Ark is louder than usual. It usually has a steady humming sound. But today, it's throbbing like he's never heard before. All of the ship's systems are being tested at maximum. The young boy walks alone through the ship, a particular destination in mind, ignored by the few crew members he sees. He's heading to his secret spot, deep inside the bowels of the Ark. One last time before tomorrow's big test. It's the last time he'll get down here for a while. He's going to miss these private sessions with her. It's going to be very busy over the next 2 weeks. This will be the last time he'll get to visit her for a while. It might be months before he can get this deep into the Ark again. Soon he'll be landing on the planet New Genesis, with his father in the lead lander, the Alpha. His father is the captain and the man in charge of the biggest mission in human history. So much pressure is on his father's shoulders. The captain is so busy with preparations for tomorrow's test. The boy probably won't see him again before bedtime. Not that he'll sleep much anyway. After these meetings, his mind is always racing. It's constantly spinning, thinking about what he was shown that day. It's so much data for the boy to process. It's been like that for a long while now. He walks alone, past miles of offices, storage rooms, walkways, crawl spaces and gantries. But as he closes in on his daily goal, he stops and turns around suddenly, as if looking to see if anyone is watching him. He had to make sure the company man wasn't around again. The company man had been showing up at times when he was deep inside of the Ark. He would question him about what he was doing and where he'd been. The boy wanted to steer clear of him. With the coast clear, he was about to enter the chamber, when suddenly he takes a detour and heads back the way he came. He takes the hypertube back towards the cryo chambers. After several tube rides and a couple hallways later, he arrived. He stands in front of a section of the cryo chambers, where most of the Ark's crew members will remain until tomorrow's testing is completed. They need to stay in their cryo tubes until late tomorrow. The cryo tubes run on a minimum of a 24-hour cycle. There she is. The reason for this detour. Her. He'd first seen her around 8 months ago. Then again, during the Ark's final preparations, while still in orbit around the moon. He's never talked to her. But they locked eyes once. Then he saw her again, on the shakedown cruise out to Mars, a couple of months ago. He'd only seen her a few fleeting times since then. Like the nursery tale of old. A beauty who lay sleeping, frozen in time. An angel. After a long, lingering look at the girl, the boy rushed back through the Ark the way he came. It's a massive ship, and he's got an important place to be. He's late. He hopped back into an empty hypertube and flew back the way he had come. Finally, he's back to his original starting point deep inside the Ark. The most secluded place on the ship, and his date with the Oracle. He climbed into the chair just like he's done hundreds of times before. The blue plasma-like sphere, once again waiting across from him. Waiting for him to connect. A secret access chamber with a direct link to the Oracle. No one else knows it exists or about these little visits. Well, almost no one. He leans back, puts on the helmet, and is instantly transported away. The boy is linked to the Oracle, and all of the knowledge of humanity.
You're late, boy. We have a lot to cover. Let's get to it.
The boy and the Oracle are one.
Sprung a leak, and the animals I've trapped have all become my pets, and I'm living off of grass and the drippings from the ceiling. It's okay to eat fish, 'cause they don't have any feelings. Something in the way, something in the way, yeah. Something in the way. Something in the way, yeah. Something in the way. Something in the way, yeah. Underneath the bridge, top is sprung